Welcome to today's video. This is a WIDA ACCESS speaking practice. This is lesson 5, and today we're going to be talking about the language of science. Again, you can pause the video, read this introduction about the speaking section on your own, and then restart the video when you're ready to continue. So the speaking practice in this lesson focuses on science. The language of science involves vocabulary and phrases used in the context of the science classroom. This might include vocabulary related to biology, chemistry, physics, or earth science, discussions about experiments, lab procedures, hypotheses, etc. Alright, in this lesson we're going to do some speaking exercises, so listen to the instructions.
We're going to do a speaking exercise. Some questions might be easy for you, and others might be hard. It is important that you do the best you can. In this exercise, you will look at pictures and listen to people talking on a recording. You can follow along with the words on the screen while you listen. Listen carefully. You will hear each part only one time. The teacher will ask a student named Leela some questions too. Listen to Leela's answer. Her answers are examples. They will help you know how to answer the teacher's questions. When it's your turn to talk, you should say your answer clearly.
Alright, and here's some speaking tips. Again, you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to continue.
This science class is learning about genetics. You will listen and answer questions about why family members might look the same.
Why do we look like our family? Some things about us come from our parents. We might have the same eye color, hair color, or height as our parents. This is why people can look the same in a family. We can also have the same nose, hands, or skin color as other people in our family. This is why we might look like our parents, brothers, or sisters.
Remember, you can take notes based on the text.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, who do you look like in your family?
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
My sister and I look the same. We're both tall.
Leela talked about who she looks like in her family. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you one way people look like their parents. Think about it.
Now it is your turn. What is one way people look like their parents?
Okay, you can pause the video, answer the question, and then restart when you're ready to continue.
One way people look like their parents is their hair color. A child may have the same hair color as their mother or father.
The science class continues learning about genetics.
We look like our family members because of genes. Genes are tiny parts of our cells that carry information from parent to child, passing down traits like eye color and hair type. Some genes are stronger, which are called dominant, and others are weaker, known as recessive. Dominant traits, like brown eyes, often show up more in a family. This is why some family members look the same, while others might look a little different.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, what are dominant genes? Give one example.
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
Dominant genes are stronger genes like brown eye color. If one of your parents has brown eyes, then you probably will have brown eyes too.
Leela talked about what dominant genes are. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you why some family members look a little different from each other. Think about it.
Now it is your turn. Why do some family members look a little different from each other?
All right, you can pause the video, decide what you're going to say using the pictures again to help you with your examples. Then speak your answer aloud and then restart the video when you're ready to continue.
Some family members look different because they get different genes. Genes are passed down from parents to children. Some genes are dominant and some are recessive. Dominant genes are stronger, so they appear more often. Each child gets a mix of genes, so they do not look exactly the same.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, how can learning about genes help us understand the traits we share with our parents?
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
Learning about genes helps us see why we have some traits like our parents. Genes carry information for traits. So if we have similar genes, we might share things like eye color or hair type.
Leela talked about how learning about genes can help us understand the traits we share with our parents. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you how dominant and recessive genes explain family traits. Think about it.
Now it is your turn. How do dominant and recessive genes explain family traits? Give examples.
All right, you can study the picture and then pause the video and speak your answer aloud and then restart the video when you're ready to continue.
Dominant and recessive genes decide family traits. A dominant gene is stronger and more often shows in a person. A recessive gene is weaker and only shows if both parents pass it, like blue eyes. Understanding dominant and recessive traits can help us understand why we look the way that we do.
This science class is learning about ellipses. You will listen and answer questions about planetary orbits and ellipses.
Planetary orbits and ellipses. The planets in our solar system move around the sun in paths called orbits. These orbits are shaped like stretched circles, which makes planets move closer to the sun at some points and farther away at other points. The path each planet follows is not a perfect circle. It is a bit stretched like an oval, so sometimes a planet is closer to the sun, and other times it is farther away. This is a regular pattern that happens as each planet moves in its orbit.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, what kind of shape does a planet orbits make around the sun? Explain.
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
Planets orbit around the sun in the shape of an ellipse. This shape looks like a stretched circle or an oval.
Leela talked about the shape a planet's orbit makes around the sun. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you how the distance between a planet and the sun changes as it moves in its orbit. Think about it.
Okay, and again, be sure to study the picture while you're deciding, forming your answer.
Now it is your turn. When a planet is orbiting around the sun, how does its distance from the sun change? Explain.
All right, now you can pause the video, speak your answer aloud, and then restart when you're ready to continue.
A planet's distance from the sun changes as it orbits. Sometimes the planet is closer to the sun. Other times, it is farther away. This happens because the orbit is shaped like an oval, called an ellipse.
The class continues learning about ellipses.
All right, and here we have a diagram and a chart, so make sure that you look at these carefully because you'll need these details when you answer your speaking prompt.
The elliptical orbits of planets are key to understanding how gravity keeps them moving around the sun. Gravity pulls each planet toward the sun, but the planet's speed and elliptical orbit prevent it from falling into the sun. This balance between gravity and the planet's forward movement allows planets to orbit the sun in an ellipse. Because an ellipse has two focal points, with the sun being one, planets are closer to the sun at certain points in their orbit and farther away at others. This changing distance affects the speed of the planet. When a planet is closer to the sun, it moves faster, and when it is farther away, it slows down. This pattern is consistent and helps explain the relationship between distance and speed in a planet's orbit.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, can you tell me why planets follow an elliptical orbit instead of a perfect circle?
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
Planets follow an elliptical orbit because of how gravity pulls them and how they move. This means the orbit gets stretched like an oval instead of making a perfect circle.
Leela talked about why planets follow an elliptical orbit instead of a perfect circle. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you to describe why planets don't move at the same speed all the time and how the shape of their orbits affects their speed. Think about it.
Now it is your turn. Describe why planets don't move at the same speed all the time. How does the shape of their orbits affect their speed?
Right, and so once again, take a moment to study the graph and the diagram, pause the video, speak your answer aloud, and then restart when you're ready to continue.
Planets do not move at the same speed all the time because their orbits are oval-shaped. When a planet is closer to the Sun, it moves faster. This happens because the Sun's gravity pulls it strongly. When the planet is farther from the Sun, it moves slower. The shape of the orbit makes the planet change its speed.
Now listen to the teacher ask Leela a question.
Leela, why do you think the shape of planetary orbits is important to scientists?
Now listen to how Leela answers the question.
The shape of planetary orbits helps scientists understand how planets move, predict their positions, and see the effects of gravity in our solar system.
Leela talked about why the shape of planetary orbits is important to scientists. Now it's your turn. In a moment, the teacher will ask you how the distance between a planet and the Sun changes as it moves in its orbit. Think about it.
Now it is your turn. Explain how the balance between gravity and the planet's speed allows it to stay in orbit. Why is this balance important for the solar system?
All right, and you can pause the video, study the graph and the diagram, and then when you're ready, you can start speaking your response aloud, and then restart the video when you're ready to continue.
Gravity pulls the planet toward the Sun. The planet's speed keeps it moving around the Sun. These two forces work together to keep the planet in orbit. This balance is important to keep the solar system stable.
All right, if you want to do some reflection on the lesson about which questions were easiest to answer and why, which ones were most difficult to answer and why, and maybe some things that you need to remember when you take the speaking test. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, leave a comment, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.